Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Giant Beastcast. We have a very exciting episode this week. Episode 296, I think, is what we're doing. We're recording this a little bit early because we have some Game of the Year business to take care of. Boy, it's going to flow seamlessly if you're listening to this during the week of Game of the Year. But right now, we've got a lot of business to take care of, so I am joined by Brad Shoemaker.
Hello.
Jason A. Striker.
Hey, how's it going?
Ben Pack.
What's up? What's up?
Jan Ochoa.
I'm here.
Alex Navarro.
There's so many people on this show.
Jeff Gerstmann.
It is a me.
And Jeff
That's what Mario
Baccalar.
says. That's what Mario says.
Am I being replaced?
And Jeff Baccalar.
Yes, it takes. We needed 5 people to replace you, Jeff.
That's what I like to hear.
We're all up for the job. This is our
Interview process.
So in place of our normal, exciting, fun Giant Beastcast, we're going to have a different kind of normal, fun Giant Beastcast in which we are going to all present our top 10 games that we have compiled and put together in an ordered list. Present them to the panel. Jan will put them in a master document, and then we will use this giant list, when we're done, to get our top 10 of the year when we come back as a group to do this. If you're watching this at the time of its posting on Friday at the end of the year here. So that being said, these are lists. We are making this a week early. Hopefully nobody's opinion has changed. We're recording this a bit early.
I forbid it. Your opinion
Nobody can
will
change.
not
You're locked.
This is locked down.
It's locked
Baccalar's
down,
list of
baby.
the 10 smartest dishwashers of the year.
That's right.
Whatever you say, officer.
We will get to. Can't play any more games. That's it. Everybody unplug your consoles, your PC.
Shit.
Yeah, that's it after this. So, that's kind of the basics of it. If anybody wants to kick it off with their top 10 to add to the first break the ink out, what are we adding? Ben Pack, you seem excited.
All right.
You want to
the
add?
first
You want to add some games? Mhm.
I'm just going to read my list, and then we can talk about it a little bit at the end here. But the first game being added to our 2020 Game of the Year list, my number 10 Game of the Year, Dota 2. That's right. We know it. We love it.
Oh,
Dota.
This is already on to the
All
worst
right.
possible fucking start.
There it is. Game of the year. Found
We're
it.
not in
Vinny,
Risk
I
of
believe you have
Rain 2.
I believe you have your thumbnail for this podcast.
Jan, you faded to black. We'll start over. I think we messed up. I think we talked
Faded
about
to
this
black.
before.
Number 8.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Among Us.
Okay.
Number 7, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 6, Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Good answer.
Number
Good answer.
5,
Good answer.
Monster
Good answer.
Train.
Oh.
Number 4, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
An answer.
I'm waiting for Jan to catch up.
Okay.
Number 3, Animal Crossing New Horizons. That's the right subtitle, right?
Yes, it is.
Number 2, Hades. And my number 1 game of 2020, Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. Or is it
Really thought you were gonna say
Yakuza
Dota 2
colon?
Yakuza, yeah.
It's just
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yeah, in the US, it is just Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Jan,
That is
is
my
there any way to
list.
change those bullet points to just a bullet and not a numbered list?
No, Vinny, it's impossible.
No, man. All this technology, we can cross-country do this, but we can't. There we go.
Oh, wow.
Part of the,
Look at that.
the shift over to
there was
Microsoft's products.
There was a very last
Yeah,
minute swap. I had Paper Mario in the 10 spot, but I fell off that game
Yeah.
really hard. And then
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Dota being on the list, just real quick, like they, in their most recent patch, kind of just decided to give every hero a new spell, and I continue to applaud Ice Frog for be willing to break this 15, 20-year-old game in new ways over and over and make it fun.
Did I see there's an Aghanim's shard now?
Yeah, basically, that basically just gives half the heroes new abilities. They just said fuck it. They continue to say fuck it, and I continue to love that game.
Then I have a question. Does Dota 2 include auto chess, or is that a separate entity?
I believe that would be a separate entity entirely. By the way, did you guys see that the Dota 2 auto chess people are making a MOBA?
That's
Finally.
No.
I'm done.
Done.
Wait.
Yep.
Is it called Dota 3?
is-
We're in some kind of recursion loop here, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have that much more to say that won't be said in upcoming deliberations. That my top 3 was switching around a lot up until the last minute. But Yakuza was a game that I played, and when I finished it, I just felt a great emptiness inside of me that no other game has managed to fill yet.
There is
That's all the
an
time you spent
Ichiban.
in Yakuza.
There's an Ichiban-shaped hole in your heart now.
Yeah, it's shaped like his hair, just like
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much away, but I found that my girlfriend was Googling pictures of Ichiban's voice actor yesterday.
Oh.
If that tells you how much Yakuza has sway in this household.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's pretty much. I mean, some of these games are where they are because of 2020 being so weird. Like, if this was a normal year, I don't think Among Us would make my list. If this was a normal year, I don't think Animal Crossing would be nearly as high. But the weird multiplayer effect of 2020 has some of these where they are.
Okay.
All right.
Who wants to go next?
Yeah, who's
Here, I'm
next?
going to do the circle. I'm going to do the random
Jason.
circle. Jason, we got
The
Jason.
random circle? Okay, it's my turn. All right. Number 10. Due to a lot of me streaming this year, I chose a game that I streamed a lot. Maneater.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, chomp chomp. Number 9.
You
Astros.
call that a Jason game?
Maybe.
Okay.
Is there chomping? Is there air
Is there
juggles?
air
with the
juggles? Kind of.
Okay.
Right?
There's
Yeah.
water juggles,
Kind
which are kind of like an air juggle.
Number 9, Astro's Playroom. Had a lot of fun.
Nice.
8, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 7, Granblue Fantasy Versus.
Hold on, real quick. I don't think we should. If it's on
No,
the
we
list,
should.
We don't. Oh, okay. All right.
We should.
All right. This is going to be a very confusing list by the end, but I love it.
Okay. I'll remove it.
It's Granblue, not Grand, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Granblue.
All one.
All one
You
word.
call yourself an anime fan.
I don't call
Number
myself
6, Streets of Rage 4.
There it is.
Yay. There it
Really
is.
come out this year.
It
Yeah,
did.
it did.
Number 5, Nioh 2.
Okay.
Ooh.
That's Jason
Number
game.
4, Animal Crossing. We already have that. Number 3, Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Number 2, Yakuza, Like a Dragon.
Okay.
We have that. And then number 1, Hades. I dig it.
Wow.
The real
Yeah,
problem
list.
is
it's been a weird year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had some like atypical games on here, and there's stuff that just like is lying at the fringe that I probably normally wouldn't have played that much throughout the year. That almost made the cut. So close. But we can talk about those later.
Okay.
I want to go next.
All right.
Vinny's next.
Okay. Here we go.
let's go. Why don't you
You
shock us
sure? Are you
all?
sure in the order, Vinny? No last minute
No,
changes?
in an order that has definitely changed up until this very second. Here we go.
Vinny, you played 85 games last night, so here we go.
Here we go. Number 10, Deep Rock Galactic.
Oh,
Okay.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like it.
Number 9, Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
We got that on there.
Okay, here we go. This is the first. This is
Oh.
the one. Ready?
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
Oh,
Number 8, Destiny 2,
Oh,
specifically
shit.
the Beyond Light expansion.
Okay.
What is happening?
cool.
I don't know.
Bad answer.
Maybe
Bad
it's weird
answer.
Number number 7. This one is also a little weird. This one is basically Factorio going version 1.0 presents Satisfactory.
Okay, sure.
I
It's a
did not
single
play
entry for
Factor-
2 games that
That's
occupy a
the
single space.
answer.
Yeah, I did not play
for my
Factorio.
information. Just for our
question mark.
information, is that still in early access?
Yeah,
It is, right?
Yes.
Okay.
yes. But they added a lot of stuff this year, which made it really fun. I played a
Did they-
bunch of it this year.
Did they unadd the water requirements by any chance?
No,
No.
but all right, number 6, Hades. Number 5, There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension. Mm-hmm.
That's neat. I played a bunch
Fun.
of that after you showed it off, and yeah,
It's
cool.
It's kind of a joy of a game.
Yeah.
Number 4, also a very uplifting game, The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay.
Number 3, Paper Mario Origami King, coming
There it
back
is.
on the list. Number 2, buckle up, it's Microsoft's Flight Simulator.
I really thought you were going to say Microsoft Word for a second there.
Clippy presents.
Number 2, Quicken.
And number 1, and you've heard me talk about it all year, folks. It's making the list. Spiritfarer.
Wow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One word.
The slight
The only
delay
word
on
is
the
wow.
call makes it really fun when you say the name of a game and everybody is silent for a second. Just stunned silence.
Like we're all
I'm
judging you.
silent out of
But then
guilt
when
for
they're
not
silent for
playing
3 or
it.
4 seconds after that, it's like, okay.
That's not the delay anymore. Yeah. It was a really interesting year to make this list. I think this will be echoed a lot of like, oh, this game came in at a time and place where I just wanted some retreat into a place and just play a thing and not have to think too hard about something, or I wanted something that had some good vibes to it. So it was kind of a mix of games that this is fun, this is carefree, this is a new refreshing world. And I think that's really what when I was going through making this list, a mix of things that this is original, I like this, and things that are just well crafted. This is just a well done game. This is competent, and kind of went back and forth on it. So congratulations to all of these games that have made my top 10, and all the games from 11 to 20 that did not.
Oh,
They get like a half congratulations. There's like a formula for that, like a 0.75 congratulations.
yeah.
Oh, a half
They got-
grat.
Mm-hmm. No half crats.
All right.
I'll go next.
Who's next? We
I'll
got
go
Jan.
next.
All right.
Jan.
If someone could handle the typing of these for me. Number 10, I have The Last of Us 2.
All right.
Number 9, Sludge Life.
Ooh.
Number 8 on my list is Genshin Impact.
Now there's a
Coming
video
eventually.
game.
Now there's an anime fan.
Oh, it gets weirder from here, folks.
Oh,
Number 7, Fae Tactics. Fae like the fairies.
Okay.
Number
we-
6,
Do a quick look at that in the office.
I think no, that was the
No,
that was
it
the
was
Dark Crystal
post.
game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, time is losing all the.
Number 6 for me, One Step from Eden.
Oh.
Number 5, Fuser.
Nice.
Number 4, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Number
Okay.
3, Hades. Number 2, Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh wow.
And number 1, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
There it
Yeah,
is. There it is.
Okay.
Now I know that this game, from like just looking at it, it's a little bit of a bad rap for the naked high schoolers in the mechs. And because of the vanillaware, not vanillaware, vanillaware?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
vanilla.
Vanillaware.
Mm.
Ties and how sometimes that can be a little bit, but I think this is one of the best stories of a game and I know my barometer for best stories is all over the place because Kingdom Hearts is up there. But I honestly think it's what I like. Honestly, this is probably one of the best stories that I've played, and I think all the random things that I enjoy about whether it's big mechs, kaiju related things, sci-fi, time traveling stuff. This ticks all those boxes and then some. And then it took all of that, put in a blender, added like a dash of anime.
A dash. I think it added like 3 scoops of anime.
It misread
That's like half a bottle.
It misread the recipe list when it calls for teaspoons. It added like a table of anime then. But like playing this fucking game, like I don't like visual novels, but like playing this game and like the aspect of the tower defense on the other side of it was just like this weird.
Wait, this game has tower defense?
Yes, this weird mix of something that I needed this year. Yeah.
Everyone describing this game
Escape.
seems like they're selling me on it so hard. I think I gotta do it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it takes it took me a long time to warm up to it. I had to get through a lot of that prologue stuff to realize what that game is trying to be. Because the way people described it to me was like, oh, you'll get 11. It's like 999. It's like all this other stuff, and it's like it's not though. And then it kind of became it later on.
Right.
And
I will say I did lose my save that was 50% completed.
Oh man!
And then my PS5 came back to life, or PS4 came back to life. So then I played through it again. So I lost maybe like 15 hours worth that I just plugged right through.
Oh.
But I was fine with it because I liked it that much.
Good lord, you're beautiful, Jan.
You're beautiful.
that is commitment.
Anime.
Yeah. All right. Anime is beauty. We all know that. Well, I can go next if we're looking for takers.
Let's do it.
Jeff Gerstmann,
All right.
give us your top 10.
Okay, at number 10, Teardown. Which is
Cool. Good answer.
Fun game.
early access
One word.
Yeah.
voxel. They added challenges to it, which I think was a much needed thing. But just like that, I love blowing shit up. Number 9, Fuser.
Hey.
Number 8, Genshin Impact. Maybe you've heard of it. Number 7, Phantasy Star Online 2, a game that was released in 2020. Somehow that's actually true. By the bylaws and the
Technically
rules
true,
of
the
this great
best
nation.
kind of true.
Yeah. Number 6, Trackmania. What more needs to be said about Trackmania that we haven't already? Number 5, maybe you've heard of it. It's called Minecraft.
Oh, another 2020.
Yeah, another 2020 gem. At number 4, Hades. At number 3, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 equals fun equals 3. That's why it's number 3 on my list. So,
Oh, smart. That's just simple math.
exactly. I mean, they did the work for me, really, which was nice. Number 2, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. And at number 1, a little game called Astro's Playroom.
The Cooling Springs level.
Up there.
The whole
Cooling
thing.
Springs. Oh wow, the whole thing.
Are you sure you can talk about that?
I'll check the paperwork, but I can say with some authority that I can talk that the whole thing is good. So, yeah,
Cool.
Nice.
All right, who do we have left?
We got Brad. We got me. We got it was back. Or you're doing your top 10. We jumping on the list here.
I don't have a top 10. I have like I wasn't
You left
told
it
to
at CES,
prepare a
right?
top 10.
he's
I
just
have
here
a
for the
couple I've
Beastcast,
written
man.
down. Yeah,
I mean, if
I'm
you want to
just-
sow chaos and just throw a few games on the list.
yeah, I mean,
You're
I
here
don't
to
have,
help us.
Let's see what I don't have 10, but I have like 7.
Oh,
Is that important?
what's on your list that we haven't already added?
So my unranked list is Astro's Playroom, What the Golf.
Oh.
We did Miles Morales. We did Ori. We did Paper Mario. Modern Warfare.
Okay.
And we have Last of Us and Hades on there. I think that's 8.
So no Cold War.
And then a blender that makes ice cream and mojitos.
And 17 pinball machine.
That's right.
So yeah,
Brad,
Modern Warfare, not Black
Cold
Ops
War.
Cold War.
Oh, well,
I'm just leading you there because it's obviously like a much worse game than Modern Warfare, but
I mean, yes, I enjoy Modern Warfare more than Black Ops, so
Totally.
it stands, yeah.
And that's what you played this year.
And that's all I played, this year.
Yeah. Well, Brad, do you want to Rochambeau for who goes next?
Oh my god, I'm still second guessing this list.
All right, I'll go.
If you're ready, then
I'll go if you want to spend some more time hemming and hawing. I'm fine with that. Okay, so I'm going to be a giant pain in the ass. Mine is actually a top 11 with the number 11 being a tie. I don't care if we don't have to put the 11 games on here. I just want to mention them. So at number 11, I have a tie between Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Ghost of Tsushima because they are, in my mind, despite being different locales and different developers, more or less the exact same experience I had multiple times over this year, which is playing dozens of hours of an open world game that I sort of liked, but liked enough to keep playing for dozens of hours and just kept me occupied. So that's why those are there. At number 10, I have Treachery in Beatdown City. The turn-based brawler, which spent many years in development, is now out.
Yeah, that's a cool game.
it's a cool idea.
Number 9, I have Astrobot's Playroom. At number 8, I have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. At number 7, I have Fuser. At number 6, I have Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. At number 5, I have Animal Crossing New Horizons. At number 4, I have Yakuza Like a Dragon. At number 3, I have Kentucky Route Zero. Not just the 5th episode, which was released this year. I'm encompassing the entire thing because I played the entire thing this year. And the TV edition for consoles had everything and came out this year.
Right.
So
Nice.
at number 2, I have Hades. And at number 1, I have Spiritfarer.
Nice.
Benny, we are simpatico.
Wow.
Yeah.
Drift
The game's
compatible.
So good.
I will save my long spiel about Spiritfarer for later because, frankly, I am just not ready to get into it yet. But I love that game a lot.
you had Yakuza on there?
Yeah, number 4.
Okay.
Okay, Brad.
I have to read
This is it.
Right.
Moment of truth.
All right.
Let's save.
Here goes. A lot of these are interchangeable, plus or minus a spot or two. But here we go.
The law is the law.
The law. You can't break the law.
Try and stop me,
right.
cop.
If you walk around this metal detector, I will be something.
Look, I have a constitutional right.
You will.
Okay. Number 10, Star Wars Squadrons.
Cool.
Oh, that came out this year.
It
Yeah.
did.
Number 9, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 8 and number 7, I'm kind of totally pulling an Alex here, where these are basically interchangeable. Ghost of Tsushima and Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Okay.
Number 6, The Last of Us Part 2. Number 5, Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
There you go.
Number 4, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 3, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Number 2, a Minecraft.
Oh, wow.
Now you're talking.
We already got that on there. Yeah, somehow.
I actually had it written down. Minecraft / Minecraft RTX, because that actually came out.
Yeah.
That thing is fucking rad. Number 1, Astro's Playroom.
Wow.
I
Okay.
thought it was
Okay.
gonna be Destiny.
I
I thought it was going to be Hades.
I almost made a conscious effort to go before Jeff because I had a feeling he was going to steal my thunder on the radical choice of putting the free pack.
It is not radical.
Number one.
There's nothing radical about choosing the best game of the year as the best game of the year.
Hey, you have
wow.
you know what?
It is.
You have
It
to
is
pay- you
wild
have to
that
pay
like
$400 to $500 to play Astro's Playroom. It's not free.
it's it's worth the price of admission. It is wild that the West have 2 of the same number ones, and so the East has 2 of the same number ones. I'm just saying. I'm noticing the patterns here.
Oh.
Interesting.
Connecting the dots. Yeah.
You know, I got my red thread on my
That's why they keep
clipboard,
it separated.
not pictured. Yeah.
Yeah, tie it all together.
I
Let's-
just
well,
want to mention real fast that Quake 2 very nearly made it onto my list.
Fantastic.
It was on.
So
It
that
was
is-
on mine at one point. Like the Quake 2 was literally like in.
Quake 2 RTX thing is fucking mind blowing
It's neat.
when you dig into it. Anyway,
So that is everybody's list combined, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
There
let's
is,
count them up and let's see what we have on here.
Okay.
If only we hadn't
Could've been
converted into
easier.
bullet points.
Yeah. Why did we change off the numbers?
Well, because I feel like it starts adding a thing, like an unconscious thing of where these should rank, and I don't even want to be. I don't want to
I'm just
influence.
saying we could have done it after we tallied. I'm
I mean,
just saying.
if we were gonna do it that way, we could have just added up everybody's numbers and
43.
Whoa, that's more games than I thought we'd have.
Me too.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Well, not to
Okay.
add anything else to this list, and I'm not saying we should put it on the list. One thing I am like, this much surprise didn't come up in the conversation, but I totally understand why, and I just want to give special mention to, I think it will show up maybe in some of the other categories, is Internet's Blazeball this year, because that thing was a fucking phenomenon, and I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't put it on my top 10 because I'm still not entirely certain that I can qualify it as a game the way that you might qualify any of these other things as games. But it is just such a fascinating concept, and I hope we get a chance to talk about it in some of the other categories, because goddamn, what a thing.
I think I played a fair amount of that, and it was this feeling of like, boy, I sure feel like I'm missing the thing that people like about this because I am super unwilling to go join a bunch of Discords and follow a bunch of discourse about this.
I just didn't
and
have
game
the time
itself
to
is,
follow
like,
it. Yeah.
Not.
I kept
mean,
up on a lot
yeah.
through like Kat Manning and other people who were like writing about the big events of what was going on in that thing, and that kind of helped me stay abreast of it. But yeah, and it's just such a fascinating experiment to me, and that's kind of why I wanted to call it out. I don't think it has to be on our top 10 list, but it is maybe one of the things of 2020 that surprised me most.
It's a triumph of
Saying that it
interactive
doesn't hang
fiction.
Yeah.
Sure. I've got a Jalen Hot Dog Fingers jersey heading my way, so I'm stoked.
Hades Tigers, baby,
Speaking of-
never look back.
Speaking of hot dog fingers and things that I'm surprised didn't make it on this list, Bug Snacks I thought would be on somebody's.
Shit. Fuck.
Nope, too late. You already made your list.
Too late. You went first, Ben.
Yeah.
Maybe cut Dota if you want, but
Maybe it hangs somewhere else by the time who knows?
I think my thing with Bug Snacks was that I really like talking about Bug Snacks, and I really like thinking about Bug Snacks, but it turns out I didn't especially love playing Bug Snacks.
I get it.
Yeah, kind of the same. Yeah, like
I would like to get
I
back
got
to
what
it.
that game was real quick, and then quickly realized, oh, it's just going to be that throughout the entire thing, and I wasn't super into it. But I like Strawby. I like Bunger.
Oh yeah.
Bunger's pretty good.
I like Bunger.
I love the end. I really respect the ending of that game.
Yeah, I would
Should
still,
put them up in another category.
I would still like to see that stuff for myself, but it does seem telling that nobody put it on here.
Scoopy Banoopy.
What is the filtering process here? I feel like there's
Well,
some pretty obvious, like, common.
I don't think Blenders is going to make it through.
Shit.
What?
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, you said no
do
pinball
we-
machines.
Do we need to take a break, Vinny?
yeah, let's take a quick break, and we're gonna try and winnow this list down. We're at what now, Jan? It was like 47.
43.
Okay, so 43. We're gonna try and winnow it down so that we have a more concise list. Somewhere we had for no reason targeted around 25 to go into the game of the year with the list, but we'll see where we get after the break. So stick around. We'll be right back.
There's got
And we are back with a big list of video games for our top 10 here, or what will one day be Giant Bomb's top 10 games of the year, 10 through 1. But first, we're going to try and take this list down a little bit. Gian, why don't you read down what you wrote down here?
Sure. In no particular order, we have Dota 2.
Oh, it's ordered.
Oh,
That's
okay.
number 1.
Risk of Rain 2, Among Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Monster Train, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Animal Crossing New Horizon, Hades, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Maneater, Astro's Playroom, Granblue Fantasy Versus, Streets of Rage 4, Nioh 2, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Deep Rock Galactic, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Satisfactory, There Is No Game Wrong Dimension, The Last of Us Part 2, Paper Mario Origami King, Microsoft's Flight Simulator, Spiritfarer, Sludge Life, Genshin Impact, Fae Tactics, One Step from Eden, User, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Teardown, Phantasy Star Online 2, Trackmania, Minecraft, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, What the Golf, Modern Warfare, Blenders, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Treachery and Beatdown City, Kentucky Route Zero, Star Wars Squadrons, and to cap it off, Immortals, Phoenix Rising.
So there it is. In no particular order, we have 40 plus games on this list. Let's see if anybody has something they want to volunteer to take off of this list. That
Can we just take blenders off there? Because I mean,
What?
we're not
Let's-
actually. We're not.
It's just you don't
I mean,
even.
I
give
could
it
use a
chance.
blender. I've been making a lot of soup, and I feel like I could really up my soup game if I had a blender.
Like a blended soup, huh?
Making marinade is much easier in a blender than doing it by hand.
We could, yeah. I mean, this is just for the top 10, so
Yeah, I don't think it
it's our
hangs.
number
Just consider it
11.
number 11. Yeah. That's
yeah, well, in our heart, blenders
the
will.
Giant Bomb smart home.
Anybody else have something they would like to propose?
We should get rid of number 1 on the list, Dota 2, because, well, A, I'm the only one gunning for it, but B, they did some weird shit with the Battle Pass where they still released a Battle Pass even though there was no TI this year, and they're like, hey, don't worry about it, the money will go to eventually.
We'll have it
figure
eventually.
it out. Which I thought was kind of sketch and weird, and
On the other hand, they let Windrunner shoot all the way across the map.
yeah, and the Clockwork has a jetpack now.
What?
I'll let Maneater go. I like the Fun Shark game. Had a
I
good
liked
time with
watching you play the Fun Shark game.
Goodbye,
it.
Maneater.
It was a good time. But
I wish that game was better. Like it's such a cool idea, and it ends up being just like a little too repetitive.
there's a little bit of that, but I mean, it is an RPG. So
Yeah.
B game.
Yeah.
I really liked the 10 minutes I played of it, and I'm not sure if it would sustain much beyond that. But
yeah.
Okay,
we're
we're at 40.
We can take Valhalla off of here. One, because I think I'm the only one who has played a significant amount of that game. And I haven't finished it. I'm real close. And people keep telling me that what happens in the final hours of that game is batshit in a way that maybe I will enjoy. I don't know. Maybe I'll regret taking it off of there, but it's not even in my actual top 10. It's number 11, so I don't feel like we can justify it.
I feel like I
People
played
really
as
like
much
that
of
one.
Valhalla. I did not play much Valhalla, but I played as much Valhalla as I kind of could stand.
Sure.
The Assassins franchise feels so far from. Not that I need it to be like Brotherhood again, as much as good as Brotherhood was back then, but like I feel like they found a new thing for it and now have driven that into the ground too.
well, also the new thing they found is kind of the thing that a bunch of other companies are also doing, right?
Or that company
right.
itself is, like I didn't put Watch Dogs Legion on this list either.
It's not as distinctive as Assassin's Creed used to be.
Sure. That's I guess. Like it feels like more of a Viking game that they're like, by the way, it's an Assassin's Creed game as opposed to.
Dude, I am 100 hours into that game, and the amount of Assassin's Creed bullshit that has happened was maybe 5% of it. Like everything.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, obviously there are threads going through the plot that are all part of the
Totally.
overarching thing, but so much of it has just been fucking Vikings running around and playing Puppet King in England. It's fine at doing that, but like it makes me think that like either they're just going to ram so much bullshit into the end that it's just going to overwhelm everything I spent that time doing, or they really just wanted to make a Viking game and couldn't figure out another way to do it.
It's just like those games. I feel like the last few of those games have just felt like the people making Assassin's Creed games got really bored with Assassin's Creed and just said like, well, let's just make whatever we want to make and then just cram some Assassin shit in around the edges. And that's a bummer. As someone who once really liked Assassin's Creed, it's a bummer. But
it's not one of our top 10 games of the year.
No,
it's probably something I will get into in 2021. It seems very long.
Yeah, I would like
to just slow burn for me. I don't know how much support, and that listen, you don't tell me. I played a lot of Destiny 2, mostly because of the Beyond Light stuff, which got me back in. But I had a lot of catching up to do as well with the Forsaken.
I was going to say playing Forsaken might have colored your impression a little bit, because that expansion is very good, and I feel like Beyond Light is very less than that.
I really like all the stuff they do with the Exo, explaining the Exo stuff and going into the history.
I didn't get super deep into that stuff, but I do hear people saying that's probably like the coolest part of the expansion, which it's not in the main campaign of the expansion. So like that's
that's a little bit weird.
Yeah, like the actual main campaign of that thing, I found pretty repetitive and like just very similar to stuff they've done before.
So yeah, I hadn't. They do a lot of like I think this expansion or at least the Destiny 2, Beyond Light stuff goes into the Clovis Bray backstory in a way that I don't know where that fits in the fiction, the kind of impenetrable fiction of Destiny 2. I don't know how much is known or how much I'm coming to or how many 17 videos you get.
This is kind of the first time they've really gone deep into that stuff.
Yeah, so there's some interesting stuff, but then. I don't know that much about Destiny 2 coming to it again this year after not playing Forsaken. What's the Moon one? The
Shadowfall.
Yeah, Shadowfall. And this, I kind of just
Shadowkeep. I'm sorry,
Shadowkeep. It just kind of went through them all. It's they tuck away the narrative in ways that are not enjoyable to me. The most interesting narrative parts are completely missable and tucked away on like a side pane of a character. There's one just mind-boggling thing that if you're just buttoning through, because you're always buttoning through stuff, you will miss, and it is probably, in my mind at least, one of the biggest things that they go over in the story, maybe in all of Destiny 2. I don't know. The story is ridiculous. Anyway, I played a lot of it. I continue to play a lot of it. Get my light level up. I deliver all my cookies. But I don't know if it is going to represent the site top 10 as well as maybe it is on mine. So you can buy Beyond Light. See ya. Also, I will say the playing it on the PS5, those load times really, when you're playing single player, really make that whole thing less of a chore of going. But I also think a game where you probably need to have an app open on a second screen says something about the design of that game, where you're like, wow, I want to do inventory management without having to go back to the tower all the time. I need to have this app open.
Do you have DIM installed? The Destiny item manager? DIM?
No, I just have their basic app, and then
their app is okay, but DIM's pretty good.
Yeah. See, if you play on PC and you got two monitors, you can just much more easily. I think by that same token, I think we can cut Teardown off the list. I think Teardown probably needs a little bit more time. Like, it is still formative in a lot of ways. And I think the framework of what they've got, and I think the stuff they added this year is really big. But I like playing it. I just hope to see way more of it in the coming year. Because it is such a cool idea. It's like it also is not, doesn't perform super well because it's a lot of voxels blowing apart. Like, it's all these buildings and all this stuff that you're breaking up with a sledgehammer or blowtorch or propane tanks or whatever. And when you really get things falling apart, the frame rate just but in a way that like feels good the way sometimes Super Nintendo games would feel good when they slowed down. It was like, I've earned this problem because I am destroying so much right now.
There's 100 enemies on screen, and I'm blasting 30 different types of weapons across it, and it's just chaos. Yeah,
the same way you're like breaking a Gary's Mod server or something by like, the thing I built was too big, and then I blew it all up, and the server crashed. Like it's that vibe.
It's
for sure.
I feel it's almost that last hit or like a strong hit in a fighting game where they intentionally slow it down. Like if you're crashing a yacht into the pier and the whole thing starts like chugging, you're like, because this is bad. Because this is really bad.
I'm doing bad shit here. It's so
no,
good.
I really want to play that game, but I did get the sense that if I played it, it would be kind of like playing a tech demo. If that makes sense, which is fine. Yeah. Like that's the point of early access. Like obviously, like he's trying to. I think it's still just one developer, right? I think they are still trying to find like the game there or figure out. What it is.
The challenge mode adds more of a game, and I mean it has a campaign. Like it has a story. Like it's not just here's a level, break stuff. It's like it is intelligently plotting a course through the level because you have to get through these 3 points and escape within 60 seconds.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying why I personally decided to wait until it's out of early access. And it has mod support, but could probably use Steam Workshop support also. But like I can't wait to see what more and more people do with that thing as they get their hands on it, because the tools to create levels even currently are freely available. So I have high hopes for that thing in the future. I think it's really cool, but it's probably not in our top 10.
Who else?
Let's see here.
I'm willing to cut 2 games.
Okay.
I'm willing to cut Fate Tactics and One Step from Eden. Both are 2 games that remind me of 2 of my favorite games. Specifically, Fate Tactics, I'd say if we had a category for best tile feel, it's probably number 1. Fate Tactics, it feels like a love letter to Final Fantasy Tactics and like other games of that similar ilk. It does a lot of really neat things in terms of in ways how like a game like Disgaea could seem like your turn is taking forever because the chain reactions are insane. Here it feels like it makes sense. The writing is really good. There's a lot of like little mini systems interlocked into everything, and the world is really neat. Like on your team, you unlock a like anthropomorphic chicken that is also a boxer. But is also the same bird race as like a little bird on your team. That's a bird frog, but also probably one of the best dogs I've seen this year, because man, that dog will literally take a bullet for you because that's one of his abilities. And it's like a lot of neat stuff. And like I didn't expect a game about like fairies and like mythical creatures to dealing with xenophobia, but it did. And I think it may not have stuck the landing, but it pulled it off really well. It's a really good tactics game also if you just want to turn your brain off. One Step from Eden, I think it's made by one dude, and it is a roguelike action Mega Man Battle Network type of game. So instead of like in Battle Network, your meter would fill up and then you get to pause the action, choose a whole new set of chips, and then proceed with the battle. Here, the chips are just constantly going, and similar to like Slay the Spire, you have a map where they're branching paths, and from the paths you can engage in boss fights, loot crates, shops, and whatnot. The game was really fucking hard when it initially launched. It was really hard, and I felt really discouraged. But since it's come out on Steam and Switch, it's been given a couple patches for difficulty to tone it down just a smidge. There's also a bunch of different characters you can unlock. Each boss character, once you defeat them, you have the ability to maybe unlocking them as a playable character, and all of them play completely differently. It does this. It ticks like the same itch that Slay the Spire does, where you wind up having the specific build that you're gunning for, and then maybe you get a couple chips or cards or spells that are different than what you're looking for, but you wind up going on a whole separate build that is insane that you need like 4 or 5 more runs to try and replicate. And similar to what Jeff was saying about Teardown, this is one of those games where on the Switch specifically, when you had like a good run and you had your spell cards all lined up, and you just you felt like a boss obliterating the screen, just launching meteors, lasers, and like a vine whip against all your enemies and taking down the whole. You create the kill screen, which is great. Felt very satisfying, but I don't think either game will hang because I'm the only one that played them.
Saying there's a one step from Eden kill screen coming out.
Yeah, you are the kill screen, Brad. You can finally become that.
Those are both games that I really enjoyed as well, that I just didn't put the time into. Hearing that they patched the difficulty in One Step from Eden a bit is a good incentive for me to go back, because I really liked what was in that game when I played it. I just didn't have the patience for it at the time.
The music also slaps so fucking hard.
That's very true. Oh, it's good to remember.
Am I the only one that has Immortals Phoenix Rising on their list? Did anybody else have that in their top? Okay, that's clearly not going to make it here then. So we can get rid of that.
I respect you for putting it on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm mixed on that game. Like, I don't think it's even remotely the best game of the year or anything, but like that is a game that emulates the trappings of Breath of the Wild without really understanding the heart and soul of it, if that makes sense. You know, like they got the climbing and you can go anywhere and do it in any order shit. And yet they still have like a fucking fill your map with icons like mini game thing, as opposed to like, you know, the point of Breath of the Wild is to just roam around and discover stuff because they built a world that is fun to explore and discover in, right?
It's like Breath of the Wild opened up a ransomware email that accidentally like injected a bunch of Ubisoft into it.
Yes. Like it doesn't nearly get all the way there, but like I don't know. I'm a sucker for an open world game that lets you do as much in whatever way you want as possible, if that makes sense. And that includes like basic traversal and shit, you know, like being able to climb on anything is a pretty damn good mechanic that I wish more games had, because you can use that in a lot of creative ways when you've got that kind of freedom. Also, I think the narration is not nearly as bad as most people seem to think.
Does it get toned down as you progress through?
Kind of. I mean, I think the bigger thing is that you come to realize they want you to hate Zeus, like that he is meant to be an irritating asshole, because Zeus mythologically is an irritating, greedy, selfish asshole. Like
he's got go home heat. He's got X-Pac heat, brother.
Like he treats mortals like disposable playthings, and they like kind of recognize that. You know, like he's not meant to be dingus. Yeah, so I think that stuff gets better, but like I don't know. I think a lot of the shrine equivalents, the vaults or whatever they call them, are not especially well designed, and it's got a lot.
Yeah, there was some weird physicsy stuff with like trying to get balls to roll up a hill and turn on the air vent, and there
were like three vaults I had to like replay entire checkpoints because like some physics thing didn't work the way they designed it to, and it was not my fault at all. It just broke. Like the game's got the issues, but I have enjoyed it a good bit despite all that.
I came around on it a little bit. Like I played a good chunk of it, like 4 or 5 hours in a preview thing, and I thought I was done. But I picked it up again and played through that 4 or 5 hours again pretty happily, and then like maybe 10 hours after that as well. Like the game's combat really gets better. That feels pretty good. Just the puzzles and the humor is what kept it down for me.
Before we trim too much more off this list, I feel like we should answer an important question here, which is to say, which of the non-2020 games that we have put on this list do we feel most strongly need to be on here? Because if I'm looking at this, I can see the argument for something like Among Us, certainly. And I think that there is even an argument to be made for something like Minecraft. And Modern Warfare, for that matter, considering I think a whole bunch of us played fucking Warzone through like 90% of the last year. Is What the Golf going to be on that list?
Yeah, it's probably not.
I think What the Golf was on my list last year.
Yeah, same. I think it was on my personal.
Yeah, it came.
Did it come out on Switch?
It came out on Switch in 2020.
Okay.
So and then where else is it? I know it's on iOS. It's probably on PC, right?
Yeah, it is on PC. It was an Epic game. It might be no longer Epic exclusive even. Maybe it's been that old, but yeah.
Hell of a game.
You've just
neat game.
Destroyed my son's dreams, so enjoy
hey, it got its recognition last year. It's an awesome game.
Yeah, well.
Put blenders back on.
Yeah, seriously.
But handheld and Virgin blenders only.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Well, the Satisfactory can probably come off, even though it's Factorio's 1.0 presents Satisfactory, but I did not actually play Factorio much this year.
Wait.
That game is
Is this slot Satisfactory or Factorio? I'm confused now.
it's Satisfactory. Satisfactory is not 1.0. Not that it matters, but
I had a hell of a time playing that with you, but
Satisfactory is a great game.
Then we got to that water stuff, and I was like, I don't know.
But I spent all that time redoing my factory, putting in water for the I ran some oil pipeline. I will continue playing Satisfactory, though. Like these games, one of the problems is when do they get their due? That's a problem with early access and games that are constantly in development. When do they get their due? Because by the time they 1.0, especially games like this, you played a lot of it, and is it time to come back? Astroneer is kind of a similar thing of that's played a ton of Astroneer this year. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry, I thought about it. Astroneer, hell of a game. I don't think Astroneer hangs here. Maybe it hangs somewhere else. But I think Satisfactory can probably come off this list. It definitely has a firm seat on my personal list. But we can take it off here.
What happened to Moving Out, man?
Moving Out, I'm probably gonna have a couple of lists. Moving Out might be on my top 5 games I played with the kids. Like that game's a lot of fun.
Just more for me to edit. Thanks. So what are the non-2020 games that we feel most firmly like actually should be on that list?
Minecraft.
I think Minecraft and Among Us have the strongest arguments.
I would argue for Among Us. I didn't even play that much of it, but it brought me helped me meet new people. It helped me, I don't know, it was a nice low impact game that a lot of my non-gamer friends could get into, which I think was important for 2020. It got so many people on Discord talking with me, ever since I deleted Facebook and stopped using most other social media apps. I lost contact with a lot of people, and that is a game that's easy enough. Hey, you can play it on your phone with me on my computer, and we can just chat and play this. And it has the aspect of Among Us that I think I love the most is being new at Among Us. Having it be one of your first times playing it is actually really helpful to play it, because you can use that as a defense when people think you're doing something suspicious. You can just be like, no, I don't know what I'm doing at all. And then that creates its own metagame, so it's not necessarily too intimidating for people to come into it. I don't know. I think that game. I think that game's really neat. It's a game that lives or dies by the group of people you are playing it with, and it can totally, completely die if one person is taking it way more seriously than everyone else, which is, I guess, technically a fault of the game. It's a hard, weird gray area, but it's true.
Yeah.
Tell me about your hard, weird gray area.
I'll show it to you.
What else is on here from not 2020?
Modern Warfare, and it's okay. The Trackmania that's on here, is that a 2020 release? I know that they were doing a thing this year. Okay.
Yes, that is new Trackmania. That is current Trackmania. Look, I love Trackmania. Everyone loves Trackmania. How can you not? Do I think that Trackmania is going to end up being one of the 10 best games of the year according to giantbomb.com? Maybe not. Maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe not.
That has the subscription service? How does that work?
So you can play it for free, and that will let you kind of get in and play on some servers. The multiplayer is where it's at. Basically, quarterly they roll out a new campaign, and they've done 2 of those, 2 additional ones so far. And that stuff has just not been great. The single player aspect of it. When they roll out the new single player levels, it's been these are maybe a little too similar to some of the stuff they did last quarter, and that's not that exciting. They had a lot of ambitious ideas around we're going to do track of the day, and then who's going to win the track of the day. And a lot of times those tracks are not meant for the full player base to play. They're a little too hardcore, or sometimes they're a little too easy. They're having trouble finding that stuff. And you know, you log into that game now and it followed the Trackmania curve of, oh man, no one's playing this anymore a lot faster than I feel like the last set of Trackmania games did. Like you log on now and there are like 2 or 3 servers that have players on them at all. And yeah, that's
Is it me or did they like not have a great time sort of messaging the evolution of that game, right? Like
they screwed it up bad. Like and to be fair, like so the paid aspect is like, do you want to have a custom skin on your car and like join a club? And like it is very ambiguous. And you know, now that I've played the game for 6 months or more off and on, I feel like the pitch of what you would get for that stuff hasn't necessarily been all that meaningful. So you can kind of dip in and out whether you want to pay for a year or not. And I think that, you know, with how much they wanted like $60 for 3 years of Trackmania, which is a totally reasonable ask for the like the highest tier of access. And but what I'm getting for that, I forgot what it all was. I had all that stuff dialed in at launch because I spent a ton of time staring at it and going like, okay, wait a minute. There's 3 tiers. What do I get with this tier? Is that good enough for most people? Or do they want the answer was like, there was like one thing in the highest tier that you would probably want if you were going to play the game at length. It was like a custom skin or whatever. And like that, but so there was no good right answer for that stuff, but it was cheap enough to buy in to the highest tier anyway, that it wasn't that big of a deal. At the end of the day, you know, it's a good solid Trackmania game. And I hope that there are players still out there creating ridiculous maps for it and, you know, slapping a bunch of filthy, disgusting, awful dubstep remixes over it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to make our top 10. I had quite a good time with it, but it's messy.
I got to
the way they rolled it out was messy.
I got to experience Star Wars Metallica for the first time, and for that I am truly grateful.
Yes, if we were voting on just the Star Wars Metallica map in Trackmania, then I would probably fight a lot harder for it, but we are not.
Let me ask, who else played Risk of Rain 2?
I did.
I played it.
I did.
What do y'all think of that game?
A little bit.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like the first time I played it, I was like, "Oh, I don't like this at all." Second time I played it, I was like, "Oh, actually, this is pretty good." And then the third time I played it, I was like, "Yeah, this is still okay." And then I don't think I came back to it much after that.
I am somewhat biased on this one because I have a real strong affection for that first game and just the style of it and the way it was laid out. And I think it's cool that they took a big swing and did something very different with the same concept. I just don't like it as much personally. And that's it's not really a criticism that I think they made a bad game. They didn't. They made something that is, I think, undeniably cool and fun. But it just wasn't necessarily the vibe I was trying to catch from a Risk of Rain game.
I've totally heard that opinion, heard and respected that opinion before. It is like you said, I think they did a really good job of capturing the vibe of that first game, but it is still completely different in a lot of ways. Yeah. You know, I'm willing to see that off the list. It made my list just because it was a really good break from Dota game that I played with like a lot of my Dota friends. And it was the game that got me into prog rock in a weird way because of that soundtrack that I love so much. And I think it's really cool. I like that they're still supporting it. They got a big content drop planned for March, I think, of next year. Last year was the year that hit 1.0, which is why I have it on the list here.
Is the March add-on adding more prog rock to it?
I hope so. If there's a new map, there's got to be new prog. Also, real quick, I want to shout out the modding scene for that game, which is really weird and cool. I saw somebody playing as Goku, and I think that's cool as hell. But I think it can also not make our final.
Here's my interest being peaked. Here's it.
Just eyebrows raised about a half an inch.
Okay.
He took the weighted clothes off his eyebrows.
I get it.
Well, that
I am willing to let. Oh, where are we at?
Hold on,
We're at 30.
30.
All right.
Only 10 more to go.
Do we need to cut?
Or 5,
Yeah,
actually.
We're trying to get
it'd
down to
be
25,
great
right?
if we could cut some more before we go in.
All right.
That's the
A Granblue Fantasy Versus was probably the best like fighting game that was released this year, and there's a few others, not many. This is one of the best looking fighting games that I've played.
Oh yeah.
It's also like one of the most easily accessible in that, you know, they simplified fighting game moves. You know, you don't have to do it, you know, quarter circle motion. You can just hold, you know, forward and the special attack button.
Is that the same developers as Dragon Ball FighterZ?
Yeah, Arc System works.
Did they just extend that system from Fighters of kind of
no, just made a new stuff. Yeah, it's completely, it plays completely different than Dragon Ball FighterZ.
It is a lot simpler. It is very footsie based. The jumps are huge. You know, it's very much a neutral based game, which I appreciated because they had to make something that appealed to Granblue fans and also fighting game players, and I think they somehow managed to stick that landing in a way that a lot of people didn't expect them to.
Yeah, totally. They have a dedicated block button, which is, you know, it's not normally something that I don't like, but I think it's probably welcome to people that are just getting into fighting games, so they don't have to worry about holding back.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say about block buttons? What are you trying to say about block buttons? What are you trying to say about block buttons?
They don't belong, Jeff. They don't belong.
Damn it, man.
Hold back to block.
How can I push back forward? How am I going to rip this guy's rib cages out if I can't hold block and then hit back?
I know you can't do certain fatalities. How are you going
to hit up multiple times in a row and then a button where you need to be on the ground?
Hold on, I'm going to do the meme. Block button. Jump button.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
Oh, I get it now. Okay, now I get it.
And then the third frame of that is you running away from someone who's chasing you with a bar of soap.
This game got me to create like a Hong Kong PlayStation account.
Yeah,
go to like Asia and buy a bunch of PSN point cards that were out of my region, just so I could play it like a month early. I put a lot of time and money into this game. I loved it an awful lot, but I know it's not going to, you know, see a lot of support because not many people played it. So I'm going to have to say bye-bye to Granblue.
I also want to shout out this game because this game shouts out apple boxes, and I love apple boxes. There's a character that her intro is her standing on one, just like how I would stand on one when I would turn the lights on in the studio.
Yep.
Oh,
wow, deep cut there.
Oh, yeah, it's a great game. Yeah. I mean, I think it's significantly better than Streets of Rage 4, but
I know we'll get there.
Well, I actually played Streets of Rage 4, so that's the only one I have context for.
How many were 29?
You only need to get like 4 more off this list.
I mean, if we start, it's not a hard number. If we start drawing blood, we can save it for the actual Knives Out debates. But if there's anything else people feel could go that they could say goodbye to here, let's just say you could steal the news cycle, say goodbye to it here, so it doesn't get lost in the bigger top 10 environment. You know, it can get its due here if anyone wants to say give a nice farewell to anything.
Since we do need to scrutinize this list a little bit, Vinny, should we take our second break now and then maybe think about coming back and taking these last few off here?
That's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, we'll take another quick break here, and we'll be back for the grand finale of the top list that we go into on Friday. So stick around. And we are back with our list of around 29 games that we are continuing to try. I feel like we're at the quick now. We're at the point where you bite your nails and then when we went too far. That's literally the quick. What? You don't like that? No. Okay. Well. Okay.
Gnarliest analogy I've ever heard. What?
You got to dip your
let's-
fingernails in like a red pepper for that. There's a
Yeah. Don't.
We
cut
have
anymore.
a Ben, folks. I see a Ben Pack raising his hand down here. Very, very appreciative of your restraint there, Ben. Ben, what do you have to say?
I would like to ask a question. There is only one game on this list I don't know anything about, and I would like to hear a little bit of what is Treachery in Beatdown City.
So Treachery in Beatdown City is a game that absolutely loves beat 'em ups, despite the fact that it kind of upends what beat 'em ups are. It is a game about going around a vision of New York City that feels a little bit like living inside its developer's brain. Sean Allen, like playing that game feels like having a conversation with his brain. And it is at once a parody of, the sort of characters you would normally see in a beat 'em up, and also a kind of a reinvention of the battle system, because it is a turn-based game. You get into these battle scenarios, and then you're kind of walking around like a little Double Dragon like window screen where you can battle against different enemies. But then when you lock in for an attack and you get in the right position, a little menu pops up and it's like, okay, which attacks do you want to use? Well, how many hit points each thing is, that sort of thing. And it's a fascinating experiment. Like it's a really neat way to sort of approach, I think, a beat 'em up that isn't just like a straightforward real-time brawler. And it's a game that was in development for a very long time. I kickstarted it back in like 2012 to 2013 or something.
Is this just Yakuza 7 taking a brawler and turning it into...
I was resisting the urge to compare it to Yakuza.
It's yes and no. I don't think that Treachery is as invested in trying to be a straight ahead JRPG the way that Yakuza is. Okay. It is a turn-based system, but I think the way they approach it is different, but they are of a kind. Like there's definitely like a comparison to be drawn between the two. Absolutely. That said, am I the only one who's going to bring any energy to that game and discussing it? Because I feel like I'm the only one who played it. Okay.
I played some of it. I dug it.
Yeah.
From your recommendation. It's probably got no business being here, but like I ain't gonna shit in yourself.
Wow. Jeff, you have learned well from watching many years of us do this. You know where to stick the knife when you need to. I like it.
I think it's a really cool game. I like the writing. From what I saw of that, I think the writing is really fun and kind of isn't afraid in a lot of ways to kind of go there. But yeah, I think for me it was the gameplay just didn't keep me hooked on it long enough. Like I think I got to a few battles in, I was like, this system is starting to like. I almost wish I could, like, if I could just sidestep that combat for a more traditional and maybe more boring combat, just to see more of the writing and story. Like I may have actually done that in that case, weirdly enough.
It's a game that I think for me got better as it rolled along, and you started kind of, getting deeper into the systems and deeper into the story. But I also I totally get it. Like I think it is such a niche thing, and it happened to be a niche thing that I was super into. Mm-hmm. But if it didn't catch other people on the staff the same way, I think it's understandable that it would not necessarily make our top 10.
I think it's like a very cool and different thing that I wish I connected with more than I did.
Fair. I would ask a similar question. I mean, I know what this game is, but I would ask a similar question of Star Wars Squadrons. Did anyone else really get into Squadrons? Vinny, I know you played a decent amount of it. Brad, you're the one who put it on the top 10. Is there other enthusiasm beyond that?
Probably not, but I mean, at some point, is that sufficient criteria to dismiss stuff? Because I believe Kentucky Route Zero is in the same spot, and
it totally is.
Too. Or the bigger point I'm making is, if that is the criterion, then there's probably half a dozen games on here we could just bounce right now.
I'm just throwing it out there because Treachery was my number 10. So, I was willing to let it go because it's not near the top of my list. It's not a thing I feel strongly about the way I feel as strongly about Kentucky Route Zero. But, I'm just wondering, is there enough enthusiasm for Squadrons from other people and from Brad yourself to hold it in there?
It's too busy sneezing to hear what you just said.
But I think to get in, I tried Squadrons a few times and played it in VR, played it out of VR, and I kind of bounced off it pretty hard. It just wasn't. It's not the Star Wars flight simulator that I think I was looking for.
It's not TIE Fighter, but it's it's more of that than I expected. Like,
yeah,
I had a very jaded expectation about the kind of game that EA would turn out in 2020 that was trying to emulate TIE Fighter, and like they actually got
it's definitely closer to that than you would expect.
But I'm still baffled by this. Like, you have to dig way into menus that aren't really documented well to turn on most of the TIE Fighter.
Yeah,
like it defaults to all the super simplified systems and controls, and that's not what you want out of that. But
I think some of that stuff is turned on with the flight stick stuff. It is native. Just to some flight sticks, it is.
I played it on PS4, so maybe they default to simplified stuff on consoles. I don't know. I mean, it's like 80% of it is the wish fulfillment of playing that game in VR and just sitting in those cockpits. You know, like that shit is awesome. And it's a game that VR like gameplay relevant in some spots. Like, not every ship is this way, but the ones that have a transparent canopy over your head, you can actually like crane your head around to follow ships that you're dogfighting, and like you can't do that with a controller on a TV. You know, like you get extra perspective on what's going on that way. But I mean, it's not going to make the top 10, but again, like I feel like there's multiple games.
That's why I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying it has to come off. I just wanted to raise it.
I would support it over some other stuff on here, but I think it is. I don't think it would make the top 10 either. It's pretty light on the multiplayer side in terms of modes.
Yeah. And I agree. You're right about that, but this is like the least EA thing ever. When that game came out, they were like, "We're done. There will be no DLC for this game. We're not going to add anything to it." And the next thing you know, they're adding ships to it and stuff. Like they added the fucking B-wing. Like,
which is great. I really want to. That's not out yet, right?
I'm pretty sure I think it's in.
Okay, well that's I think one of my things against it is like after I finished the campaign and did the multiplayer, I didn't touch it again.
Also, the ships, though, it's all for like free. They're adding all that new stuff for free, which is just a weird turn based on what they said at launch. But yeah, like I don't think it's going to be top 10 here. But again, I don't think it's like the only game in that category here where there's
we're definitely going to move on to like, you know. So I think I would support cutting that mostly because I just didn't connect with it as much as I hoped I would. I thought the VR stuff in that was. The VR stuff in Squadrons made me just want to go back and play more Eve Valkyrie because that game does more with the dogfight, like look around dogfighting than this does, because they're not stuck to the Star Wars ships. So they could be like, actually missile targeting is done by vision. And so it becomes more like much more of a gameplay thing there. And I thought that they did it years earlier and did it better.
Although, I mean, you get into some interesting like meta narrative stuff with that in Squadrons because like the TIE Fighter is a tin can with a porthole about this big, and it kind of reinforces the narrative that the Empire doesn't give a shit about its pilots. It's just like, here you go, no life support, no nothing.
It's like you wondered why those things blow up all the time. Here's part of the reason they couldn't see shit.
You were just a disposable cog in this like infinite war machine.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're in here, you could take a couple more hits as a TIE Fighter, which just a balancing.
And I think like the way that they open that game with like the literal first thing they do is like bad guy defects. Like normally they wait till the halfway point in a story to roll out that tired ass trope.
Well, so
they're just like, ugh.
If you get into it, that's basically just a prologue because it immediately jumps forward several years, and he's just a character at that point. So that's just kind of set up. But like the story is not amazing. Like I didn't finish it. I would like to get back to it, but the story is kind of whatever. It's mostly just like the dogfighting and the ship control stuff is better than expected.
Yeah. Now, a game with a story that we can cut from this list is Phantasy Star Online 2.
I was gonna bring that one up next.
It's the story of a man and his mag.
A story of like,
spreading things to four corners.
A story of watching a bunch of cutscenes, and then there's a J-pop singer who is a double agent that is trying to hunt down a dragon, and all of this is told to you in cutscenes that you can very easily not ever find because of how many menus deep they have buried the story track. And Phantasy Star Online 2 is bizarre in 9 different ways. the very idea that it finally came out in English is so ridiculous. And then they rushed through like all the translations of the Japanese content to try to get it up to speed so that now they can roll out this new Genesis thing later. I assume they're trying to achieve some parity there worldwide, but it's a mess of a game. It's a free-to-play game with some nasty kind of subscription stuff around the edges where they want you to pay for additional storage and some of this other stuff that you don't necessarily have to get, but sure is like a quality of life thing. If you can like, oh, I can take on twice as many quests as I can if I pay them their monthly fee. And boy, that makes it a lot easier to progress. I like the gameplay of it a lot. I think that they capture enough of the vibe and at least the aesthetics of what you want out of Phantasy Star Online that I kept going with it and put a lot more time into the English version than I ever did in the Japanese version, which is crazy because I spent way too much time playing that fucking thing.
Is this completely separate from? Didn't they announce another Phantasy Star Online?
Yes.
Am I insane?
So I think that's if I like looking at it now, I think that's probably why all this had to happen is for them to put out Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis later this year, which is a whole new thing. The characters' fingers are articulated. Some cosmetics will come in, some won't. Yeah, it still has a 2 on it. You got me, man. But like the story on their part is like rather than do another episode of regular PSO2, they decided to do a whole new like overhaul of the game and then put that story content into that instead. And so it gives them a chance to update the graphics. And so it's like, in some ways it sounds like, when World of Warcraft said, hey, we're going to redo the engine and update the graphics. But instead of like just doing it in place, they did it in a totally different game and said, well, the story content's just going to continue over here now. And then some of your stuff will come in and some won't. And it's like a bunch of really weird hard lines they drew on some things and very soft ones they drew in others. And some of that's unclear until that new game is actually out. So it makes me wonder, like, as a result of that, did they feel they needed to bring out English PSO2 just to kind of crack that nut here, get people into it, get people into the engaging story of whatever the hell is going on in that game. I can't even begin to talk to you about the plot of PSO2. And I've spent a good long time, like, except to say that it is like, as you progress through the game's other quests and level up and open up new areas, you are potentially gaining access to more episodes of story over here that again are like buried deep enough that you may never even see them. And when you do go and launch them, it's like you push a button and it loads in like it was loading into a mission, but then instead just plays you a cutscene with like usually no VO at all. And you're just like buttoning through text that is like, again, not super clear on what's going on because they have animated out the ass. They went full anime and back again with this story. And it's a bunch of nonsense, and I really appreciate it. And you can start a clan, and you can make your clan space look like the planet from original Phantasy Star Online, and that's good. And you can feed your mag, and you can be a cool robot with a big gun. And yeah, I think they made something really cool, but they made it like 8 years ago, or however long it's been, 9 years ago now. And I'm really interested to see what they do with this revamp of the game, because that's probably where I will get back into it, because I did fall off it pretty hard after a certain point. I
will give it another shot once that 2.0 whatever rolls out.
Yeah,
hopefully you can grab me then.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not gonna. It is not gonna be on our list, and that's
will
fine.
not grab a spot on the site's top 10 list.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're closing in here on a top 25. So I think if anybody else has stuff they have anger against,
one more, rid of one more game, Vinny.
Wait, don't say that to me. Wait, what would you possibly
I'm not saying you need to get rid of one more game. I'm saying we need to get rid of one more game.
Okay.
You could do it. Like, you could be the person. That would, I feel like
you could throw
out
a game.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna say let's say
No,
because
let's
I think it's the
do.
obvious. I think it's the obvious one to take off, and I know some people are not gonna want to take it off. Animal Crossing.
Ah!
There you go.
Okay.
Nice.
Right.
Wild card.
I can't.
I
Get
would-
behind that.
Boo this
I
man.
almost threw this fucking cup of water at my monitor, knowing you're not there.
Right.
It won't actually
Where are
impact
these
me.
games?
Just break my
We're
monitor.
getting rid
I
of
don't care.
Microsoft Flight Simulator right now because he said that.
Oh, you like islands? You like flying to islands? Let's talk about Microsoft Flight Simulator.
I was surprised you had that on your list, Vinny. Yeah, I mean, I'll jump into the fucking pit with you. Get
there we go.
Animal Crossing out there.
No.
There we go.
We're not having that. No, that's what we need to actually have a knife fight over on Friday. That's not one we need to
Yeah.
cut
I
right
was gonna
now.
say, do we have a most disappointing category? Because maybe Animal Crossing could win that, but
No, let's do
All right, now we
Eternal.
got 3.
God, poor dude.
Wait, nobody had Doom Eternal on their list. I'm just realizing that now.
I pondered putting it at number 10.
I was surprised no one had Half-Life Alex.
Oh yeah.
I don't own
have
VR.
Yeah, not enough people in VR.
Yeah.
I had to get back to it. I only got a few chapters in, but
I have
Did you like those
PSVR. It ain't on that.
Brad?
what's that?
Brad, you like those chapters though?
It's fine. I didn't get to
Okay.
I didn't get to like the game apparently.
I was
played
about
it.
to load it up, but then Boneworks got me nauseous, and I haven't played VR since.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought Half-Life Alyx was fine, but I don't have the space to play it in a full room scale environment, and
Sure.
playing it sitting down was like so clearly not the way to play that game that I didn't have a very good time with it.
I also played it sitting down, and it was not good that way.
All right, well, if
I
no
will-
one wants to take Ghost of Tsushima off this list, I think we got to find another one.
Well,
I mean,
okay, so here.
Anybody besides Bacalar put Modern Warfare on here? I don't think so. Right?
No.
Like,
I was
respect
gonna
it.
leave it on there. I was gonna leave it on there as sort of like a token gesture to our friend Jeff for taking the time to come and be on the show with us and introduce something for
Yeah,
us.
to be on this
Bacalar-
podcast that I sometimes show up on, but
As a
Wrong
guest,
way,
yeah, a guest gets a spot. Guest gets one spot.
so here,
are you
look,
part of the proceedings though? Because if not, nobody's going to be there to argue for that game. That's what I'm
well,
saying.
you got to check the bylaws. I don't know how that works, but here's the thing, though. Okay, as much as I have no problem shitting on Modern Warfare, I will also at the same time defend it because I'm not. This game defined the pandemic in terms of gaming. Okay, where like that the from like the day it started to right now, I have the same social circle of friends who we've all sort of been in this together, and that's what, for me, beyond. And I do happen to think it is one of the best multiplayer experiences they've ever done as a package, as going away from the DLC, making it this living, breathing sort of organism was a winning formula, no doubt. So that for me, that's why I put it this way. I've never made it the whole year where I'm playing Call of Duty up until the next one comes out. It just never happens. And this is the first time it happened.
I like that
Same
you
here.
described it
Yeah.
as an all-encompassing organism because as that year went on, it slowly, like an Akira monster organism, slowly ate up more and more of your hard drive space as the year wore on. So, it has that
There you
going
go.
for it.
They
There you
eventually
go.
patched in the ability to uninstall the campaign and other stuff like that to pare it down to like to remove the parts you're never going to touch again, like the co-op, which when that game launched, the co-op was horribly broken, and by the time they fixed it, it was like, oh, now it's not broken, it's just bad. But then they put in Warzone, and it's kind of like, but that is the best Call of Duty in a generation. Like that is the best Call of Duty they've
Agreed.
made on that set of consoles, that last set of consoles, and
It's like a human generation. I was like, whoa.
yeah, well, but
In 18 years, maybe.
you could make the case that it is the best. I would hear arguments. It's not first, so I think it has kind of a weird. It's a weird argument. But if someone told me they think that this is the best that Call of Duty has ever been, I could see it. Yeah, for sure. It's a great multiplayer game. The Warzone stuff has been cool, though. since I don't play it with friends. Like they rolled out the new map, a new smaller map alongside Black Ops, and I was like, oh cool, let's see what they put in. But they have not put in a solo mode for that yet, and so it's just trios and duos, and so I've not been able to try that very effectively anyway. And the Warzone, I think I kind of got bored with, but I think the competitive multiplayer in that game is the best it's been in a very, very, very long time. And to me though, it only serves to point out just how disappointing Black Ops Cold War is, in terms of just like, man, that game is like, it's like they rebooted Call of Duty with World War II. Like they tried to get like, we're gonna get back to boots on the ground and stuff that matters. And then they like, oh, let's do Modern Warfare. We're making a bunch of cool new changes and doing a bunch of cool new stuff. And then this feels like someone just came in and said like, well, let's get back to like boots on the ground, right? Like it's like another reboot that doesn't bring anything fun and new to Black Ops. Anyway, I don't think it's going to make our top 10, but the argument I think could be made, and I just want to say it is the best Call of Duty game that they have made, maybe since like Black Ops 1 or Modern Warfare 2.
I agree with that.
Did it
liked
not
Warzone
make our top 10 last year?
I don't know. I liked it a lot.
I feel like there's a place we could check for that.
Yeah, there's a place we could look up.
That's gone.
It may have been my number one game. Or no, it was not my number one game, but it was probably in my top 10 last year.
I think Jeff sacrificed it at some point.
Yeah. Because
it's on it. I'm pretty sure
it's on there. Okay,
I think so. It's I think it made number 8.
Yeah,
if I'm looking at this list correctly, number 8.
I believe it.
Yes, that is correct.
They added a lot of cool stuff to it this calendar year, and that's cool. But I don't necessarily think it makes. I don't think it makes the cut compared to what we've got.
I agree.
Yeah, I would much rather have arguments about the other 25 games on this list than I would that one.
All right,
I agree. Cut it. Modern Warfare off the list.
Bacalar, I guess.
Wow. Jeff Bacalar brings nothing to the table yet again.
Why should this be any different, right?
we have 25 games here. Okay, Bacalar, I'm gonna give you this opportunity. Okay, I'm gonna give you this opportunity, Bacalar. We have 25 games on this list. I want you to name what you think the top 3 would be if you had to quickly say, what do you think the top 3 would be on this list? Since you will not be
25?
Here. Out of the 25 here.
Okay.
Jeff Bacalar's top 3.
All right, just give me like a slow scroll. I'll tell you this. It should be Hades.
Okay.
Last of Us 2 and Astro.
Interesting.
All right, thanks for playing.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's it.
Whammy!
Let's read down what the top 25 are on this list. Jane, you want to scroll us back up here?
Yes, sir.
Again, these are in no order yet. No order at all.
No, these are. We should change these back to bullet points. Yeah, change them back to bullet points. And let's do this. Let's have a little fun with this. Why don't we start, Jeff? Why don't you start with the thing that's the first on the list, and we'll go clockwise in order here. So I'll go next. We'll just go around the ring here. Read them off.
Among Us,
Ghosts of Tsushima,
Ori and the Will of the Wisps,
Monster Train,
Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Animal Crossing: New Horizons,
Hades,
Yakuza Like a Dragon,
Astro's Playroom,
Streets of Rage 4,
Nioh 2.
You totally.
Oh, sorry.
All right,
I was my game. I got excited. I'm sorry.
Brad,
you can do the next one. I'm sorry.
Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
See, that one's longer. I wanted to give that to you.
Is it my turn now?
Back on now.
Deep Rock Galactic?
How did that get in there? There is no game. Wrong dimension.
The Last of Us, Part 2.
Paper Mario, Origami King,
Microsoft Flight Simulator,
Spiritfarer,
Sludge Life,
Genshin Impact.
Fuser.
13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
Minecraft.
Tony Hawk Skater 1 and 2.
Kentucky Route Zero.
All right, that's a list, man. I feel good about that.
And satisfactory. And that is all
right.
Blenders going back on the list.
So that is the list that we will use to have our Giant Bomb top 10 discussion, which again, if you're watching this at the time that it is going up, it will be the following Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I like these games. These are fun games out on this list. This will be a fun discussion. Looking forward to making this list.
Yeah, this is like I know where I personally would whittle, but like there's a lot of strength here. It looks like this looks like a good year for video games right here. When you look at it. I have this every year where I'm like, well, I don't know. And then when I make the list, I'm like, oh, okay, this started to get hard in the top 16-ish range. And that's usually where it gets a little difficult. So if you've been watching our Game of the Year coverage, thank you very much for tuning in. Of course, you can go back. If you have not watched this and just tuning in for the Beastcast here, we have been doing our Game of the Year. This will go up around the end of our 4th day. We've been doing these live. If you want to catch them, you can watch the archives, or if you want to catch the final day, again, go to giantbomb.com/chat to watch it live on Friday around 1 p.m. Eastern. You figure out the time zone differences. I can't do that. Or you subscribe to the Giant Bombcast on iTunes or wherever podcasts are, because the Game of the Year stuff's going up in that feed.
There you go.
That's a podcast.
Listen to it. It's like the Beastcast. They kind of they do a lot of similar things. They talk about games sometimes, and I don't know what happens over there.
No, I'll go read. I'll go read the official boilerplate. It was like, things get wildly off topic with energy drink. Like the line that I think Mike Tatum wrote in like 2008.
Describes it to a T.
Yep, that's it. That's that Giant Bombcast.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Jeff again. And thank you, Ben.
You're
welcome,
and you're welcome.
Wow. Wow. Just took them both there. There we go. That's the music. That's going to do it for this week's show. Next week, we will be back with a regular show. We will know what the number one game from 2020 was when that happens. I should have started this music just like a minute earlier, and just then it didn't occur to me. So I'm gonna just say, if it is your birthday, happy birthday out there! Oh my gosh, look at you! You know what I'm talking about. It's your happy birthday. Yeah. It was you. We'll have more shows coming up. Ben Pack, thanks for joining us here.
Yeah, no problem.
You have one more day at the end of this one coming up when this goes up, so thank you very much.
Biggest bombshell for tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait until you play the how are you gonna do that to me card for getting your games on this one.
Just minute one. I'm gonna use that right away.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been a special edition of the Giant Beastcast Game of the Year edition. Thanks everybody for joining us, and like I said, we will be back next week.